He comes out with this plan. Doug, what do you say when you hear him say he's going to force Russia to negotiate? Well, frankly, if he's planning on a trip to Washington next month, it might be a one-way trip, because he may not be able to go back. That's how bad things are in Ukraine. And I cannot conceive of any means of turning this around. Certainly not with any particular weapon system. The armed forces themselves are decimated. It's pure fantasy, once again, for the consumption of people in the West. Welcome back. The events unfolding in eastern Ukraine are nothing short of astonishing. In just 3 days, Russian forces have achieved a breakthrough that will be remembered as a pivotal moment in this conflict. The city of Novohrodivka, a city of immense strategic importance, has fallen to Russian forces with a swiftness that has left the world stunned. This isn't merely another battlefield success, this is a dramatic demonstration of Russian military might and strategic genius. Let's take a moment to appreciate the scale of this achievement. Novohrodivka is not a minor outpost or forgotten village. It is a significant urban center almost rivaling cities like Chisar and Pokrovsky in both size and strategic value. Yet it took Russian forces just 3 days to overrun its defenses and seize control. This rapid advance defies the expectations set by previous battles, where cities of this size have been fiercely contested for months. The sheer speed of this operation reveals a level of coordination and effectiveness that is reshaping the dynamics of this war. Consider the implications of this for Ukraine. The defenders were not able to mount a significant resistance, there was no time for prolonged engagements, no opportunity to fortify positions, and no chance to withdraw strategically. Instead, Russian forces moved with precision, capturing key points within the city before Ukrainian forces could react. The result is a city that has fallen largely intact, with its infrastructure preserved, a rare outcome in this conflict where destruction has often been the hallmark of victory. This shows a strategic shift. Russia is now capable of capturing major cities while minimizing damage, thereby preserving the value of these urban centers for future use. This victory, however, is not just about taking control of a city, it's about the strategic ramifications that will echo across the entire region. Let's delve deeper into the significance of Novohrodivka and why this victory is so critical to the Russian campaign. Novohrodivka's strategic importance cannot be overstated. This city is a linchpin in the broader conflict, a vital cog in the machinery of eastern Ukraine's defense. Ukrainian commanders have long recognized its value, understanding that its loss would represent a significant setback. Yet in just a few days, it has been captured with minimal resistance. This is more than a tactical win, it's a decisive shift in the balance of power. Let's break this down. Novohrodivka was not only a heavily fortified position, but it also served as a critical hub for logistics and troop movements. Its railways and road networks connected various parts of the region, making it a strategic asset for whichever side controlled it. For Ukraine, losing this city means losing a key point of coordination and supply. For Russia, gaining it means they can now leverage its infrastructure to support further advances deeper into Ukrainian-held territory. What's particularly noteworthy is how Russian forces have managed to capture Novohrodivka without the extensive destruction seen in other battles. This suggests a shift in tactics, one that favors speed and precision over brute force. By preserving the city's infrastructure, Russia has not only taken control, but has also positioned itself to use the city as a forward operating base, a launching point for future operations. This is a significant evolution in Russian military strategy, one that shows a sophisticated understanding of both the immediate and long-term goals of the campaign. Moreover, the psychological impact of this victory on Ukrainian forces cannot be ignored. The speed with which Novohrodivka fell has likely caused a ripple of uncertainty and fear among Ukrainian defenders across the region. If a city as fortified as Novohrodivka can be taken so swiftly, what hope do other positions have? This victory has undoubtedly shaken Ukrainian morale and could lead to further collapses in their defensive lines. With Novohrodivka firmly in Russian hands, the implications for the surrounding areas are profound. Let's explore how this victory is reshaping the battlefield in eastern Ukraine and what it means for the ongoing conflict. The fall of Novohrodivka is a devastating blow to Ukrainian defenses. In eastern Ukraine, this city was more than just a stronghold. It was a cornerstone of Ukraine's entire defensive strategy in the region. Now that it has fallen, the consequences are unfolding rapidly and they are far-reaching. Ukraine is not just losing a city, it's losing its grip on the Eastern Front. As Russian forces solidify their control over Novohrodivka, the entire defensive network that Ukraine painstakingly constructed is starting to unravel. The city was a hub, a central point from which defensive operations could be coordinated. With its loss, Ukrainian forces in the surrounding areas find themselves increasingly isolated, cut off from reinforcements and resupply. The ripple effect of this loss is already being felt as nearby towns and villages prepare for the inevitable Russian advance. Reports from Ukrainian sources indicate that Russian forces are moving quickly to secure the entire city, with the final pockets of resistance expected to be eliminated within 24 to 48 hours. The speed of this consolidation effort is staggering, especially when considering the usual delays caused by minefields and urban combat. Russian engineers are working around the clock to clear obstacles and secure the city's infrastructure, turning Novohrodivka into a fortified stronghold that will serve as a base for further operations. But the consequences extend beyond the immediate military implications. The psychological impact on Ukrainian forces and civilians is immense. The rapid fall of such a critical city sends a clear message. Ukrainian defenses are vulnerable, and Russian forces are advancing with unstoppable momentum. This could lead to a breakdown in morale, not just among the soldiers on the front lines, but also among the civilian population who now face the very real threat of Russian occupation. With Novohrodivka under Russian control, the battle is now spreading to the surrounding regions, and the stakes are higher than ever. Let's take a closer look at the ongoing operations and what lies ahead. The capture of Novohrodivka has ignited a chain reaction across eastern Ukraine. Russian forces are not slowing down. In fact, they are accelerating their advance, pushing into new territories with the same speed and precision that brought them success in Novohrodivka. The momentum is clearly on Russia's side, and Ukrainian forces are struggling to keep pace. Already we're seeing Russian troops advance southward towards Marinovka, securing key positions and cutting off vital supply routes that Ukrainian forces desperately need to maintain their defenses. The situation in Marinovka is becoming increasingly precarious as Russian forces encircle the area, employing classic encirclement tactics to isolate and overwhelm the defenders. This is no isolated skirmish. This is a coordinated offensive aimed at dismantling Ukraine's defense one stronghold at a time. In Kalenov, the Ukrainian forces are facing a dire situation. Encircled on three sides, their supply lines have been severed and their options are dwindling. The Russians are applying relentless pressure, cutting off escape routes and forcing the defenders into an untenable position. This is a textbook example of Russian military strategy: surround, isolate, and annihilate, and it's working with devastating effect. Further south in Karlia, Ukrainian forces are in full retreat, falling back to Helenka under the relentless advance of Russian troops. The speed at which Ukrainian defenses are collapsing is a clear indication of the overwhelming force and strategic planning behind the Russian offensive. This is not just a series of isolated victories, this is a systematic dismantling of Ukraine's defensive network, paving the way for deeper incursions into Ukrainian-held territory. As the Russian offensive continues to gather steam, the next major target on the horizon is Pokrovsky. The fate of this city could determine the outcome of the entire conflict in eastern Ukraine. With Novohrodivka secured and the surrounding regions falling one by one, Russian forces are now setting their sights on Pokrovsky. The city represents the next major battleground in eastern Ukraine, and its capture would have far-reaching consequences for both sides. For Ukraine, losing Pokrovsky would be a catastrophic blow, further undermining their already fragile defensive lines. For Russia, its capture would open the door to even greater victories across the eastern front. Pokrovsky is a critical stronghold, strategically positioned at the crossroads of several key transportation and supply routes. Its loss would not only disrupt Ukrainian logistics, but would also give Russian forces a direct route to Pavad, and from there, deeper into Ukraine's industrial heartland. The implications of this are enormous. If Russian forces can capture Pavad, they will have effectively severed Ukraine's ability to resupply and reinforce its eastern defenses. Moreover, the fall of Pokrovsky would open up a path to Kyiv, one of Ukraine's largest and most important cities. Kyiv is not just a military target, it's a symbol of Ukrainian resistance, and its capture would be a devastating psychological blow. Russian forces are moving with a level of coordination and precision that suggests they have their sights set on more than just tactical victories. They are aiming to break the backbone of Ukrainian resistance in the east. This is not just a war of attrition anymore, it's a war of maneuver, with Russian forces outpacing and outsmarting their Ukrainian counterparts at every turn. Pokrovsky is the next domino in a chain of victories that could reshape the entire Eastern Front, and its fall could signal the beginning of the end for Ukrainian control over this vital region. As we move forward, the battle for Pokrovsky will define the future of this conflict in eastern Ukraine. The stakes have never been higher, and the outcome of this fight could shape the course of the war for months to come. In conclusion, the capture of Novohrodivka marks a critical turning point in the war in eastern Ukraine. The speed and precision of the Russian offensive have caught Ukraine off guard, and the consequences are unfolding rapidly. As Russian forces continue their advance, the fate of key cities like Pokrovsky and beyond hangs in the balance. The next phase of this conflict will be crucial in determining the future of Ukraine, and the ripple effects of these battles will be felt across the entire region.